Hi, good morning. Right, today we're going to be looking at the People Management Unit for the Level 5 Extended Diploma in Business and Management. So we always start off with the front cover sheet, which you can see on my screen here. Now, I'll go down and we can scroll through how many learning outcomes are on here and what sort of assessment criteria we'll be covering over the next few days. So we have a different grading system on here if you're not familiar with that. We have three grading systems, which is there's a pass, a merit, and a distinction. Now, if you can see my screen on Learning Outcome 1, we only have some pass questions. Normally what would happen is you'd have some pass, some merit, and distinction. So to gain a pass, you would need to complete all of the pass assessment criteria within this unit. To gain a merit grade, you need to complete all of the pass and all of the merits. And if you want to do the distinction grade, you need to complete every single question that is on this front cover sheet. Sorry, the unit specification. Now, we're going to be looking at understand how structure, culture, and other factors impact on people in organizations today. But we'll have a quick scroll through what other learning outcomes there are. So we have Learning Outcome 2, which is understand how to manage individuals and teams in order to achieve sustainable business performance. Learning Outcome 3 is understand how to develop individuals and teams in order to achieve sustainable business performance. And then the last learning outcome, which is Learning Outcome 4, is to be able to review people management strategies in an organization. Now, like I just mentioned, we're going to be looking at Learning Outcome 1 today, and I'll recap. It's understand how structure, culture, and other factors impact on people in organizations. So there are three assessment criteria for this. There's 1.1, which says, explain how organizational structure impacts on people in organizations. 1.2, analyze how organizational culture impacts on people in organizations. And 1.3, analyze how organizational policies and procedures impact on people in organizations. Now, we have two working documents on here, which this is the first one, the specification sheet. You can find all of this on Moodle. Now, the fantastic thing about this spec sheet is that if you scroll further down towards the bottom, you'll see something called indicative content. Now, this indicative content is set out for each learning outcome. So here it shows Learning Outcome 1, structure, culture, and other factors impacting on people and organizations. And if you can see, there's a section on structure, a section on culture, a section on organizational policies and procedures, and a section on factors that impact due to policies and procedures. Now, this actually gives you an idea of what needs to be included within your assignment, so it's always good to refer to. We also have an assignment brief, which we will discuss on assignment day, but this is the other working document that we look at. And just tell you what sort of layout you need to do your assignment in and what sort of format you would need to use. Again, this is on Moodle. Now, we'll make a start on our presentation. So, people management, Learning Outcome 1, understand how structure, culture, and other factors impact on people in organizations. So the meaning of organizational behavior. So this is a study of how individuals and groups behave and relate with one another in organizations, and also how they achieve the organization's aims and objectives. So a question I'd like to ask is, why then do we study behavior in the workplace? Now, there are a few answers to this, but the most popular reason is that the person who is actually studying this or they are interested in pursuing a career in management. So what they do by observing other people's behavior is they want to learn how to predict behavior and how to apply it in a way that can be effective for the organization. So that is really the most popular answer as to why behavior is, looked at within the organization. So organization structure. So organization is defined as the link between individuals in an established network of relationships so that authority, responsibility and communication can be controlled. But why have a structure? Well, the reason for that is that you need a clear responsibility so that you know that each certain group is tasked with a certain thing that they need to do. So by grouping the tasks, you're required to fulfill the objectives. So things like sales and production or personal departments or accounts. So this is what happens when you're having a clear structure so everybody knows what is actually going to go on. So now we're going to go on to 1.1, which is the first assessment criteria. It's explain how organizational structure impacts on people in organizations. Now, we're going to look at the different types of structures here. And there are 4 main types of organizational structures, which we will look at in the following slides. The first one is tall structure. Second is flat structure. Third is product or brand structure. And the fourth is geographical structure. So this image here, we're actually looking at hierarchical organizations. So this image shows us the hierarchical organization that employees are ranked at. So they're all on different levels and each one are above the other. So it's sort of like a pyramid structure. So at each level, except for the one right at the bottom where it says operatives or support staff, they have somebody that reports to them. So if you have a look over here, at the top are the owners and directors. They're responsible for the overall direction of the business. Under the owner or director, we have managers, and they're responsible for a certain area of their business, so sales, marketing, production, and so on. Then we have supervisors, and they have a day-to-day responsibility. And then we have the operatives or support staff, and they're the actual people that carry out what needs to be done. So we're going to go on to the tall structure now. So when we look at this tall structure, there are some advantages and disadvantages to the tall hierarchy. So the advantages are that there's good coordination of activities, there's uniformity throughout the organization, there are clear channels of communication, and there's established job roles and opportunities for promotion. But again, there's also disadvantages. They're bureaucratic. There can be long channels of communication. So if you're trying to communicate with somebody, say, towards the top, then it can be quite time consuming to get to there. It's slow decision making because things are being filtered down through different levels. And the operatives or support staff may feel less significant because it may be that they're not getting, their views or opinions are not being heard as much as they would like. Then we have the flat structure. This can actually be similar to this tall structure, but it's a flat structure because it's got less layers. So in a flat hierarchy, the chain of command is much smaller as it has fewer layers, but the span of control is actually wider. So the benefit of this is that it can lead to better communications and a better team spirit. So if we just look at this here, we've just got the flat organization structure. So at the top will be the owner or director, under will be managers, and then beneath the managers will be the supervisors, and then you have a whole array of support staff that are doing the actual work. Now we've got flat hierarchical organizations. So a hierarchy can be structured by product or customer groups as well as by its function. So in this way, a large company can operate on a lot of smaller businesses. So if we use Unilever as an example, Unilever is quite a big company, which is underestimating that. They have a whole lot of different divisions within them. They've got personal care, frozen foods. So the benefit of having this is that they can give each division its own identity and they can make decision making can be faster. So each one has got their own little flat organization here. So as a side note, when you're doing your assessment, a company like Unilever would be a good one to look at because it's going to have a very in-depth and informative website. So you'll be able to pick up a lot of information off there when you do get down to doing your assignment. So there are advantages and disadvantages to the flat hierarchy. So the advantages are that there's shorter channels of communication, it's faster decision making, there's more responsibility for managers and others, increasing motivation, and it's cost effective. But the disadvantages are that there's less control or coordination, there's wider areas of responsibility that might lead to inefficiency, and there's fewer opportunities for promotion. So you're not really going to have staff with very high morale saying, oh, I'll be able to go up the chain of command. Then we've got an image here about a product or brand structure. So we're just looking at Hewlett-Packard. So they have a division where they do imaging and printing. They've got personal systems division, an enterprise systems group, HP services, and HP financial services. So this is just an idea of one of the brands. Then we've got product or brand structure, and this is the advantages and disadvantages to what we've just looked at. So the advantages to this is that it's clear focus on market segmentation and it helps customers' needs. It's positive competition between divisions and there's better control as each division can act as a separate profit center. Now the disadvantages on the flip side of this are that there's duplications of functions. So there's different sales forces for each division. There'll be different HR for each division. So it's things that are being multiplied. There's negative effects of competition, and there's a lack of central control over each separate division also. Now we're going to look at geographical structure. Now Hewlett-Packard's headquarters are worldwide. So we've got Hewlett-Packard on the image here. They're in Americas, they're in Europe, Middle East and Africa. So they're in Geneva and Switzerland. In America, they're based in Houston, Texas. And in Asia Pacific, they're in Hong Kong. Now, again, there are advantages and disadvantages of having this geographical structure. Now, the advantages and disadvantages are, let's look at the advantages first. So it serves local needs better. There's positive competition and there's more effective communication between the firm and its local customers. But the disadvantages are that there's conflict between local and central management, and again, there's duplication of resources and functions. Now we have organizational culture. Now, the culture is defined as the collective self or the image and style of the organization. So its shared values and beliefs and norms and symbols are used as part of its culture. So, for example, they've got things like customer orientation, they believe in quality, trust, accountability is part of its culture. It has a freedom to make decisions, to have rewards, and also freedom to make mistakes. So this is all part of the organizational culture. And also within this, you can have innovation and creativity. So there's good things and not so many good things that are about it. Now, we've looked at 1.1. So we're going to have a look at assessment criteria 1.2. Now, on here, we're going to analyze how organizational culture impacts on people in organizations. So we'll look at cultures here and the different aspects of the cultures in organizations. So we've got things like visible artifacts, so logos, symbols, a certain color of the uniform, or maybe a certain color of the company, dress rules. So you might not see people coming in wearing jeans and t-shirts. It might be you've got to wear slacks and a shirt. And then the degree of informalities between managers and their subordinates. And that really depends on how formal or informal the conversation or the work is between them. And then we've got something called rules, norms, and ethical codes. So like timekeeping, value for the customers, going green if you're deciding to become more will friendly and you want to change the way your office is run. CPD, so continuous professional development, is another rule and norm part of their culture, and also respecting each other. Within this organizational culture, you can also have rituals, ceremonies, and celebrations. So this could be something like even having a Christmas party or employee of the month, or even maybe having a reward system for a certain amount of sales, like a little competition between people. Then we're going to look at here where it says Tesco culture. So we're going to look at Tesco here. So at Tesco, this is what they say: we support each other by sharing what we know, working as a team, enjoying work, and when it's time to celebrate, doing just that. So lots of companies say that they're a fun place to work, but our values back it up. Just as we listen to our customers, we listen to what our staff want too. So this is Tesco's little statement of business statement of how they listen to the staff and also to the customers. So what they've said is that their staff want to be treated with respect. The managers, they want managers who actually help you. They want an interesting job and they want an opportunity to get on, so to rise within the organization. And there's 3 words about their culture that they use. So better. So for our customers, by helping them with their shopping experience, which in turn means they want to keep coming back to us. So they're creating more business by having good customer service. Simpler, for our staff to make us more efficiently, to work more efficiently and have less stress. I think everybody wants that. And then cheaper for Tesco, by keeping our customers loyal and our staff happy. And now we're going to look at different types of cultures. So there's a power culture where important decisions are made towards the top of the hierarchy, so the owners, directors, and the managers. There's a role culture where everybody knows that they have clear roles and responsibilities. These have been defined. And then the role culture encourages stability and also less risk-taking, because, you know, this is what I've got to do and that's that. Task culture. So the culture that emphasizes on solving tasks and meeting deadlines. So this just focuses on getting the job done. And then the person culture. It focuses on and values individual skills. So, and as an example, if there's accountants, lecturers, architects, or lawyers, you're being skill focused or person focused with them. So this is the last slide for assessment criteria 1.2. So these are the factors that influence individual behavior at work. So we've got something called extroversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, I can't get the word out today, emotional stability, and then a couple more. So we'll have a little skim through these. So extroversion is where somebody is outgoing, sociable, friendly, they're excited, and just generally happy. Agreeableness is to the degree where somebody is good-natured, cooperative, sympathetic, and trusting. Conscientiousness, so it's where somebody is responsible and organized, and they have a sense of duty, and they can be quite cautious and dependable. Emotional stability is the degree to which somebody is relaxed, they're secured, they're not too worried, they're quite chilled. And then we have some others which can include anxiety, anger, depression, and vulnerability. We've also got openness, and this is to the degree where somebody is curious, they're imaginative, they're intelligent, they're liberal, and they don't mind change. So that was assessment criteria 2, where we've looked at analysing how organisational culture impacts on people in organisations. Now we're going to move on to assessment criteria 1.3. So we're going to analyze how organizational policies and procedures impact on people in organizations. Now, policies and procedures actually provide a guidance and act as a roadmap for the daily operations within your workplace. So they ensure that compliance is met with the laws, they give guidance for decision making, and they also streamline the internal processes. But this really depends. Policies and procedures don't do your organization any good at all if your employees don't actually follow them. So you've got to try and ensure that these are enforced. So if we look at concepts of global talent management. Now, talent management is an organization's commitment to recruit, hire, retain, and develop the most talented and superior employees available in the market. So talent management is a useful term when it describes the organization's commitment to hire, manage, develop, and retain talented employees. So if you have an employee that is fantastically retained, they do the job good, you want to try and keep them, don't you? You don't want to say that, right, you don't want them going off somewhere else. So you've got to do something or have a good, attractive package within your workplace that they will stay with you. So we're going to look at a couple of different definitions of global talent management. So talent management includes sourcing, screening, selection, retention, development, and renewal of the workforces within analysis and planning. Our second point here is global talent management refers to the systematic use of specific HR policies and practices to manage several global talent challenges that a firm confronts. And then a third one here, global talent management includes all organizational activities for the purpose of attracting, selecting, developing, and retaining the best employees in their most strategic roles. Now we've got a little chart here. Now this actually shows an ongoing process. So this image, what you're looking at is just a few different factors within an organization. So talent acquisition and sourcing, performance management, compensation and rewards, career management, succession management, leadership and capability development, and workforce planning. So it's going in a circular motion, so it shows it's a current working process. And now we're going to look at why do policy changes impact organizations. So policy changes, they can actually be quite difficult. So even if they're positive changes, it can take a lot of time for modifications to be made within the workplace. It also takes time to get used to these changes and adapt to them. So on top of that, people may actually react differently. So some might really love that we're having a different change within the workforce. But then there's others who might find it really difficult to adapt. So if you're used to certain systems or a certain way things need to be logged down or certain processes, it can be really difficult to just then go and change your work systems or change the way things are done. So adaptation can take a long time. So until these policies or procedures are established, performance can be affected, and this could even be in a negative way, because it takes time for employees to get accustomed to new and different ways, and also different ways of performing their normal tasks. So if you've been working in a particular way and you're used to it without even thinking about it, you can do a particular process, go onto your laptop and you're done. You know exactly which system to use, how to use it. But if you're then told to use a brand new system, it'll take you time to get used to it. It'll probably take you longer finishing the task than it would have originally. So like I said earlier, when operational policy changes are made, it is not a stretch to expect organizational performance to be impacted until employees become familiar with new practices. So implementing new procedures, instituting different operational systems, transitioning to new equipment or software as directed by policy. So those are all things that are included. So any change that affects how employees perform daily tasks can be expected to impact organizational performance. So the performance may lag. It might take the employees a little time to get trained or to get used to the equipment or software, and they might even be more affected while they're becoming familiar with these procedures and systems. So change can take a little time. So in the meanwhile, you might see things go downhill, but once this becomes the norm, they normally do tend to pick up again. Now, you've got employee policy changes as well. So this is where changes to employee policies like attendance, leave, education, training, their organizational performances, these can be affected. So when there is a change to employee policies, it's viewed as disciplinary or reactionary. So the result is often disgruntled employees who are resistant to change. So even if these changes will create a better working environment, sometimes employees are not happy with why a particular change has been brought about. So employee dissatisfaction and low morale are well recognized as detrimental to organizations' performance and to its policy changes, and especially unpopular changes. They can be expected to affect the morale and the satisfaction. So again, changes can be quite difficult to implement, but they can also be very important to implement. And that was it. We've looked at learning outcome 1, and we've looked at the 3 different assessment criteria. The first one was understand how structure, culture, and other factors impact on people in organizations. Then we looked at analyze how organizational culture impacts on people in organizations. That was 1.2. And then on AC 1.3, we looked at analyze how organizational policies and procedures impact on people in organizations. So very briefly, before I finish recording, I'd like to refer you to Moodle. Now, everybody has their logins. If there's an issue, I'll show you some emails where you can get in touch with us. I'll just log back in. We'll take a moment. So like I'm doing now, log in. I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar with this, but we'll just have a quick glimpse through anyway. So I'm going to click on the ATHE Level 5 Extended Diploma in Business Management. So that's a course that you're on. Then I'll scroll down and you'll see a front page here with the different units on it. And we're doing people management. So we'll click onto there. And now on here you'll have some resources. On the top here is where my arrow is. People management specification sheet. So this is this particular sheet that I've been showing you with all the learning outcomes. And then you've got a few resources here: Human Resources Management and Technology, Human Resources Management, a critical app, and HR Management Practice by Armstrong. So I suggest you have a little read through these 3 different resources. And then the PowerPoint that I have been using today is just here under LO1. And then we've got the subsequent ones over here. So this is where everything is. And just a quick glance here. These are some useful emails. So this is my email. I'm the tutor, I'm Afsha. So mine is afsha@ukversity.co.uk. If you have any login problems or any admin problems, just email admin@ukversity.co.uk. And subsequently, when the assignment is submitted, it'll be learnerwork@ukversity.co.uk. So thank you for attending today. And I hope to see you in the next session.